I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. Welcome to the final episode of WaterparkRanger's Let's Play Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. In the last episode, we got basically Harry Potter abridged, like the conclusion of Prisoner of Azkaban, the plot twists, in about, under a minute. It was remarkable how much they condensed that all into that little frame of time. Anyway, what we got to do here is just walk backwards, just like in episode 1 where we had a Ron dragging Harry on the train. You just do that here, only you have to break free of more Dementors. This is where the girding potion and all those HP upgrades actually really comes in handy. Because the Dementors, if you only had your green HP, they would pretty much actually be able to kill you, more or less, during this segment, due to all the times that they run into you. No matter how much you break free, it's really hard to survive on only green HP here, so my advice to you, definitely at least get some of that red HP before you come here. I also have some Wiggenweld potion on me, but the problem with it is that if you try to heal during the upcoming segment, it actually won't help you at all, because the Dementors are going to go for Sirius instead of you, and if they manage to kill Sirius, then you lose as well, so Wiggenweld potions actually don't help you at all at this point, and you can't use them on Sirius either. Go figure, that would make too much sense. Same reason that Eris couldn't live because of a Phoenix down in Final Fantasy VII. So weirdly enough, even though I had Expecto Patronum equipped to Y, as soon as this next phase started, they just switched it out to Flipendo randomly, so I have to go back into my inventory and take out Expecto Patronum. There we go. And what you just gotta do is knock away any Dementor that's nearby Sirius Black, because they're going for him, and if they run through his HP, then you lose the fight. So all you have to do is just keep knocking back the Dementors with Expecto Patronum. This is good so far because it actually follows up on a gameplay mechanic that you're pretty much used to by now, because you fought the Boggart using Expecto Patronum, and you also used Expecto Patronum on all those Dementors in Hogsmeade, so by this point, you're more or less comfortable with using Expecto Patronum. The good news about this is that although it's pretty easy to lose just up front, if you start just holding them back, they're very easy to keep at bay. The bad news is that if you lose this fight, I've had it happen that, if you lose this fight, they send you back to the part where you're pulling Sirius alongside the lake bed, but when it happened to me, they changed the camera angle so that I couldn't see Sirius or Harry at all, and I just saw, one Dementor. And so I didn't know how to walk back on the lake bed, and then no matter how many times Sirius and Harry died, the camera wouldn't return so that I could see them. So I literally had to turn off the game, and I had to re-record that entire last fake dungeon.
Now captured, Sirius Black awaited his fate on the 7th floor of the West Tower. Harry and Hermione awoke in the hospital wing, eager to explain to Dumbledore what had happened.
Professor! Black's telling the truth!
He's innocent, Professor!
I believe everything you say, but there is nothing I can do. What we need is more time.
Hermione understood immediately. Dumbledore was giving them permission to use the time turner she'd been using all year to attend several lessons at once.
We're going to use the time turner to go back 3 hours, rescue Buckbeak, and then save Sirius.
Having rescued Buckbeak, Harry and Hermione hid amongst the bushes beside the lake. As the moment drew closer to Black's capture by the Dementors, Harry's mind wrestled with the vision of the shadowy figure and the ghostly creature that he had seen by the lakeside.
I know it sounds crazy, but I think it was my dad.
Harry, you mustn't be seen.
It was time for the rescuer to appear, but no one was coming to help this time. And then it hit him. He had not seen his father. He had seen himself.
I've got to save them!
And now we have the real final boss of the game, the enormous Dementor horde, or so it would seem. No, it's actually one Dementor on the far end of the lake. That is the final boss way over there. They don't tell you this. Now, first thing you gotta do is equip Expecto Patronum. That's the only spell you're gonna be using in this fight. Like it says, press and hold Y to power up the Patronus. What it doesn't tell you is that you need to keep holding onto Y and not let go in order to give it its full power. After that happens, you have to hold down the A button randomly in order to make this stag charge through the horde of Dementors. You just want to hit as many of them as you can in order to clear a path in the horde. because once you kill a Dementor with the Patronus, I mean, normally in this Harry Potter series, Dementors can't be killed, but in this fight, once you, like, send a Dementor away with the Patronus, it won't return to the Horde, so you just need to keep doing this until you can clear a path. This normally takes a couple tries, because this is a really awkward boss battle, and it's hard to do. Actually, the music's really good, though, I have to say. If you're looking for the soundtrack of this game, it's not hard to find. Just go to YouTube. I mean, you're already here on YouTube, so wow, you've already completed the first step of that, and then look up Harry Potter the Prisoner of Azkaban game soundtrack. You'll find it. I really do like some of the music in this game. So the deal is, after you open enough of a path through the Dementor crowd, just send the Patronus stag charging through, and head for the other side of the lake where the Dementor is, and run it right into the Dementor. Unfortunately, we ran out of power right before we could get there, so we're going to have to try again. There is also one final obstacle in your way, which is the game being shitty. Once you try to get the Patronus to the other side of the lake, sometimes it's really hard for the Patronus to touch the Dementor. There's like an invisible barrier that prevents the Patronus from stepping into it. You kind of have to push through it like I did right here. If you notice the stag slowing down, that's because there was some kind of barrier that just makes it hard for the Patronus to walk. And usually that's what stops you from killing the final boss, is that random shitty barrier right in front of the Dementor. So just keep trying, push through, and the good news is that the more you hit the Dementor, the further away the Dementor is sent, and he has to keep walking back. Or it. Dementors don't really have gender, do they? So the Dementor's going to keep trying to walk back to Sirius Black. That's your chance to charge another Patronus into it, because the further it is away from Sirius, the easier it is to hit with the Patronus, believe it or not. Just remember that the Dementor is going to keep trying to walk in the direction of Sirius Black, so don't just predict where it's going to walk, and then you can run the stag into it. One more hit, and then we'll have finished this final boss. Once again, it's really weird because you might think that the Dementor crowd is what you're supposed to attack due to the HP icon, but it's just this one Dementor on the other side of the lake. Once you beat that Dementor, you win the fight. Also, for some reason that Patronus is reminding me of that new legendary from Pokemon X and Y. But if anything, Nintendo didn't steal that from Harry Potter. Nintendo stole it from Princess Mononoke, if you've ever seen that movie.
Harry, you conjured a Patronus and saved Sirius.
I know, but they'll soon be coming to take him to the tower. We've got to hide. Do you reckon Sirius is up there yet?
Who's that coming out of the castle?
McNair, the executioner. He's gone to fetch the Dementors. One of us has got to get Buckbeak to that tower.
This is the last part of the game that you have to do in order to beat it. I just decided to heal Hermione there because I'm such a nice person. And also because all those Wiggenweld potions that I had on me, a lot of them didn't end up getting used because they're not very useful for Harry in the final battle. So I wanted to just use one way or the other. We went to the troubles collecting so many of them along the course of the story. Now, actually, the music during this segment's really nice and that tower is really easy to find. So I'm just going to let you listen to it for a little while here. Like, there's no doubt this game has... That's probably actually the best thing about it in retrospect, is it's got a gorgeous soundtrack. It's really good. And there's something about... Like, no matter all the bootleg moments that this game has, there's just moments that actually manage to make it magical.
How can I ever thank...
Get on! There's not much time! The Dementors are coming! Go!
We'll see each other again. You truly are your father's son, Harry.
nobody at Hogwarts knew the truth behind what had happened the night that Sirius, Buckbeak, and Pettigrew had vanished, except Harry, Hermione, Professor Dumbledore, and Ron.
I trust that you will make the best of the last day of term to say your goodbyes for another year, and to do anything that remains to be done. I'll remind you that we will soon hold the House Cup ceremony. But if you would like to run along now, come back to me when you're ready to see who's won.
The last thing I want to do in this LP is not anything gameplay related, is just mention something here. In an earlier episode, I was wondering, like, what my favorite Harry Potter stories were, like, in what order I'd have to place them, in terms of how good they are. And I finally think I've come up with my, the way I'd list them out of the 7. I'm not counting the movies, because the movies are really different beasts. But first off, Order of the Phoenix is the worst one. Far above that is Chamber of Secrets. Chamber of Secrets is much better. After that, I'd say Half-Blood Prince, then Sorcerer's Stone. After that, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, and finally, Deathly Hallows is the best one. So that's my personal Harry Potter listing. And once again, the movies are a different business. Especially considering that I feel they're a lot harder to place in terms of their quality. Like, there's so much... They're a lot more difficult for me to place. I might have to wait for another video to talk about that. The other thing I've got to mention, and I said the last thing, I guess this is the really last thing, is that there are 2 other minigames in this game. One of them is just doing the Hippogriff bat-eating thing again. There's nothing different about it. And the other is the Dueling Club. The Dueling Club works a lot like the Malfoy battle, except you can fight people from different houses. Not sure what kind of reward you get from doing it. My guess would be perhaps Birdie Bots every flavored beans or something. But yeah, you can find that at any point by going to the Great Hall. Not this entrance hall, the Great Hall. Just go there at any time and you can do that minigame. We never did it.
And now, we reach the end of another eventful school year together. So, for their loyalty, courage, and their significant contributions to the school, it gives me great pleasure to award the House Cup to Gryffindor.
And that concludes our Let's Play of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Hope you've enjoyed it. It was really fun while it lasted. Even if it was frustrating and bootleg at times, there were moments that made it worthwhile. And with that, until next LP, Mischief Managed.